Wow, what a welcome. I really appreciate that. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I want to welcome you all and thank you for coming to Horizontal Wireline Services. What a thrill it is to have Mitt Romney here and be a part of this event. Huh? Let's hear it, guys. For those of you in the crowd that are unfamiliar with what we do here, we are a Pennsylvania-based oil and gas service company that has grown over the past few years. And if you know anything at all about us, you know we've come to be quite successful in this area. We really appreciate that. We have over 100 hardworking employees, many of which are behind us now. And we've come together for the opportunity for the Marcellus and Utica Shale. What you may not know about us, however, is the majority of our founding members and management team is with us today. They're actually from this part of Pennsylvania. We went to school, we worked hard, we went to college and got our degrees. And what were we left with? An opportunity to move out of the state to find a job many years back. The natural gas industry has a rebirth in Pennsylvania. And because of it, we were able to move back and start this business right here. I just mentioned to Governor Romney that if President Obama is reelected this next time around, I am truly concerned the impact it's going to have on this business and other business just like this. We need a president who understands business, understands our industry, understands what it takes to be a real job creator. That man is Mitt Romney. Ladies and gentlemen, if you will please help me in welcoming the next President of the United States, Mitt Romney.
Pennsylvania knows how to welcome somebody, I'll tell you that. You guys, it is that enthusiasm and that optimism that I'm convinced is going to drive America to an economic rebound, is going to create jobs, a brighter future for our kids. I am not someone who's looking to America to decline. I'm looking to America to take off, and it's going to happen with new leadership. But we're going to have to take a very different direction than this country's been on in the last 3.5 years if we're going to see the kind of bright future we'd like to see for ourselves, for our friends and neighbors, and for our children. Because the president came into office and recognized things were in trouble, and he went on the Today Show after being inaugurated, and he said, look, if I can't turn around the economy in 3 years, I'll be looking at a one-term proposition. Well, he's right. Now, I think he's got the message that there are 23 million Americans that are out of work or that have stopped looking for work or can only get part-time jobs. I think he's heard that about half of this year's college graduates can't find work or find work that's consistent with their college degree. I think he's heard the message that the median income in America has dropped by 10% in the last 4 years. I think he's seen the record number of foreclosures, and so he has to recognize his policies have failed to get America working again. And my guess is he wonders why that is. And I have the answer for him. Liberal policies don't make good jobs. you look at them one by one, everybody knows that our health care system has all sorts of problems and things that need to be corrected. Most important of which, or one of the most important, is it's very expensive. Health insurance is extraordinarily expensive. There are a lot of things that need to be done to improve health care. But Obamacare is not the answer. We got to replace it and get rid of it. He has other policies that haven't helped create jobs. Obamacare, by the way, I hope you know the numbers on that and the impact it's had on job creation. The Chamber of Commerce went out to their members and surveyed them and said, what's been the impact of Obamacare? And three quarters said they are less likely to hire people because of Obamacare. You see, his policies did not help create jobs. They depressed job creation, and that's why we're still struggling with so many people out of work. And by the way, let me just note, this number, 8.2% unemployment, we've gone 41 months with unemployment above 8%. And why is that number? Why do we keep on talking about 8%? Because that's the bogey the president himself set. He said, look, if we let him borrow $787 billion in his first year, which Congress let him do, that he'd hold unemployment below 8%, and it has not been below 8% since. And that's a number, but it represents real people. People facing some real tough times. People out of work and stop looking for work, as I said, but also people who are actually working in jobs. A lot of them facing tough times. A lot of people employed wonder whether they're going to be able to afford retirement. There are a number of folks who, I don't know whether you read the story over the weekend. There was a story in the New York Times which described a couple of women that are working in a daycare center. One of whom is a single mom. She has 3 kids. One full-time job, 3 kids does not make a real comfortable life. She's had tougher and tougher times. Being middle class in America is getting tougher and tougher. And a lot of people in the middle class have fallen into poverty. This president's economy is not working for the American people, even those that are employed. So I mentioned Obamacare as something that kills jobs. There's another one. When you increase the number of regulations at a rate 3 times that of his predecessor, with a bill like Dodd-Frank that makes it harder for small banks to grow and thrive and make loans, you don't add jobs. When you have energy policies that say no to fracking and no to drilling offshore and no to drilling in Alaska, no to taking advantage of our resources here, when you say no to coal, when you put in place regulations that don't allow coal to be able to be mined or to be used, these things kill jobs, and that's got to stop. There's something else that's got to stop. And I believe you know about this, but you know the history of our country is a country where individuals with their dreams go out and begin an enterprise like this one here that Joe and his colleagues built, and they go out and talk to friends and family and say, would you loan us the money to start the business? And people scrape together the cash and build or buy a building like they bought this one here and get started in business, sometimes successfully, sometimes not. That's sort of how we've done it in this country. And that's very different than the way they've done it in some other countries where the government comes in. And based on who you know in government, who is a friend in government, you get money from them. You get taxpayer dollars. That's happening in this country today. I'm ashamed to say that we're seeing our president hand out money to the businesses of campaign contributors. When he gave money, $500 million in loans to a company called Fisker that makes high-end electric cars, and they make the cars now in Finland, that is wrong, and it's got to stop. That kind of crony capitalism does not create jobs, and it does not create jobs here. I believe in free people and free markets, and I want government to get out of investing in individual businesses. So the president's looking around for someone to blame. And recently I became the reason for all our problems here. I was a surprise to my family and me, but he's always looking for someone out there. ATM machines, tsunamis, China, Europe. I mean, it's always something. Congress. We won't forget, by the way, that Congress was in his party for 2 years with a supermajority. He takes responsibility for what happened while he was president and he had his Congress. But so he's looking around. He can't find someone to blame effectively. He's out of ideas. He's got no new ideas for getting the economy going. He's got no one new to blame. He's out of touch with what's happening in the country, and that's why in November we're going to put him out of office. Thank you. You know, something happened on Friday. President Obama exposed what he really thinks about free people and the American vision and government, what he really thinks about America itself. He probably wants to understand why his policies failed. If you want to understand why his policies have failed, why what he has done has not created jobs or rising incomes in America, you can look at what he said. And what he said was this. He said, and I quote, and he's speaking, by the way, of businesses like this one. Small businesses, big businesses, middle-sized businesses, mining businesses, manufacturing, service businesses of all kinds. He said this: if you've got a business, you didn't build that. Somebody else made that happen. That's somebody else's government, in his view. He goes on to describe the people who deserve the credit for building this business. And of course, he describes people who we care very deeply about, who make a difference in our lives. Our school teachers, firefighters, people who build roads. We need those things. We value school teachers, firefighters, people who build roads. You really couldn't have a business if you didn't have those things. But you know, we pay for those things, all right? The taxpayers pay for government. It's not like government just provides those to all of us and we say, oh, thank you, government, for doing those things. No, in fact, we pay for them and we benefit from them, and we appreciate the work that they do and the sacrifices that are done by people who work in government. But they did not build this business. The idea to say that Steve Jobs didn't build Apple, that Henry Ford didn't build Ford Motor, that Papa John didn't build Papa John Pizza, that Ray Kroc didn't build McDonald's, that Bill Gates didn't build Microsoft. You go on the list, that Joe and his colleagues didn't build this enterprise. To say something like that is not just foolishness, it's insulting to every entrepreneur, every innovator in America, and it's wrong. And by the way, the president's logic doesn't just extend to the entrepreneurs that start a barbershop or a taxi operation or an oil field service business like this and a gas service business like this. It also extends to everybody in America that wants to lift themselves up a little further, that goes back to school to get a degree and see if they can get a little better job, to somebody who wants to get some new skills and get a little higher income, to somebody who may have dropped out that decides to get back into school and go for it, people who reach to try and lift themselves up. The president would say, well, you didn't do that, all right? You couldn't have gotten to school without the roads the government built for you, and you couldn't have gone to school without teachers, so you're not responsible for that success. Look, President Obama attacked success, and therefore under President Obama we have less success, and I will change that. I've got to be honest. I don't think anyone could have said what he said who had actually started a business or been in a business. And my own view is that what the president said was both startling and revealing. I find it extraordinary that a philosophy of that nature would be spoken by a president of the United States. It goes to something I've spoken about from the beginning of the campaign, that this election is to a great degree about the soul of America. Do we believe in an America that is great because of government, or do we believe in an America that's great because of free people allowed to pursue their dreams and build their future? You understand, of course, what's going on. What he is saying is his justification for raising taxes higher and higher, because government needs more. What he's saying is his justification for Obamacare, which says we need 2,300 pages of legislation to have government more intrusive in your life. What he's saying is his justification for a larger and larger government. This is very different, by the way, than the Democratic Party of Bill Clinton that said that the era of big government was over, that reformed welfare. You heard that story, by the way. He's trying to take work out of welfare requirement. It is changing the nature of America, changing the nature of what Democrats have fought for and Republicans have fought for. In the past, people of both parties understood that encouraging achievement, encouraging success, encouraging people to lift themselves as high as they can, encouraging entrepreneurs, celebrating success instead of attacking it and denigrating makes America strong. That's the right course for this country. His course is extraordinarily foreign. Now, Joe got it right. Where'd Joe go? There he is right here. Joe got it right. He said something about what would happen if President Obama were to be reelected, and I don't think that's going to happen. But if he were, but if he were reelected, I want you to know that what you've seen for the last 3.5 years, you'd be seeing for the next 4.5 years. And what that means is chronic high levels of unemployment. It means low wage growth to negative wage growth, declining median incomes in this country. And it means putting America on the door to fiscal calamity. We have seen what Obama's political philosophy brings, and we don't want any more of it. I have a very different view than the president's. You see, I happen to believe that the kid that studies hard and works hard and gets an A, that he achieved that, or she achieved that, and I give them credit for doing so. I believe the person who worked hard and did a good job and got a promotion deserves credit for having achieved that. I believe that the young person who came up with a new idea that changed the world on the internet deserves credit for having done that. And by the way, I believe that Joe and people around him and all these businesses I met around the country that have grown and thrived, I believe that they and the people who worked there built those enterprises. It is their responsibility, their achievement, and they deserve credit for it. The president justifies taking more of what people earn by saying, look, it's also our system of government that makes things possible for entrepreneurs and innovators. And that's true. But let's stop and think about the system of government and what it tells us in its founding document, the Declaration of Independence. It does not say that the government gave us our rights. It said that God gave us our rights. They come with us, not with government. It said that among our rights given to us by God, by our Creator, were life and liberty and the pursuit of happiness. Our capacity to build and lift ourselves and reach for the stars is not thanks to a government that says fine. It is instead thanks to a God who loves us and gives us those rights and those opportunities. I'm convinced that President Obama's efforts to denigrate and diminish success and individual achievement would diminish us all. And that's one reason why he's not going to get reelected. I'll tell you this. I'm convinced he wants Americans to be ashamed of success. I want Americans to welcome and to celebrate success and to encourage people to reach as high as they can, and in some cases to build enterprises. I don't want government to take credit for what the individuals of America accomplish, whether they work in government or work in the private sector. It's the people of America that make America the unique nation, the exceptional nation that it is. I believe that if you have a philosophy and an approach as a nation which celebrates risk takers and it celebrates achievement and says go out there and do whatever you can and welcomes dreamers from all over the world, that will make us more prosperous and create more jobs. We know what his philosophy brings. We've seen it the last 3.5 years. We've seen the numbers. We've seen the suffering. His philosophy of big government, government intrusive in our lives, higher taxes keeps us from achieving what we can achieve. I've got 5 steps to get this economy going again. 5 things I'm going to do. And I want you to know those 5 things, if we do them, and I'll do them, if we do them, these things are going to cause a resurgence in America's economy that's going to surprise the world, is going to convince moms and dads that the future's brighter for them and the future's brighter for their kids. And I'll tell you what those 5 things are. Number 1, I want to take advantage of our oil and our gas and our coal and our renewables and our nuclear. Seems to me you agree with that point. Let me mention another one, and that is one that this president has really not pursued, and that is trade. You see, we're a highly productive nation. We make more goods and services per person than any other major nation in the world, and so it helps us to trade with other nations. By the way, China and Europe figured that out. Over the last 4 years, 3.5 years rather, they put together some 44 different trade agreements with other nations to sell goods back and forth because they know that helps them. Do you know how many this president's put in place? 0. 0. If I'm president, I want to open up new trade with places, particularly in Latin America, right next door. A lot of people, a growing middle class, huge opportunity for us. So that's my number 2, is trade. Number 3, when you have a government that consistently borrows massively more than it takes in, and you create larger and larger debt, as that debt gets so large relative to the size of the total economy, you slow down economic growth. Slow growth means fewer jobs. And that is why, as President of the United States, I will get America on track to have a balanced budget. So number 1, energy. Number 2, trade. Number 3, a balanced budget. Let me mention another one. I want to make sure our people have the skills for the jobs of today and tomorrow. And I'm not going to thank government for giving them those skills. I'm going to make sure that people have the opportunity to reach for those capabilities. I want people to have good training opportunities in the workplace and in our colleges and universities. I also want people to get the best schools in the world. We're not providing our kids the education they need. I want them to have more choice in education. I will put our kids first and our unions behind. Give the kids the best schools in the world. And my fifth, in addition to skills and education, my 5th is this. I want to encourage economic freedom. Our economy is driven by free people pursuing their ideas and their dreams. It is not driven by government. And what the president's doing is crushing economic freedom. This philosophy of his leads to him saying we're going to take the tax on investment from 15% to 25%. So government's bigger. I want people to be freer. That's why, in my view, anybody making $250,000 a year and less should pay no tax on capital gains, interest, or dividends at all. Be able to invest. He's crushing economic freedom with taxes and an overwhelming regulatory burden, with high cost in health care, with labor rules that are not favorable to the employee or to the employer, but only to the bosses of the unions. Look, we have to restore economic freedom in this country, and when we do, those 5 things: energy, trade, balancing our budget, improving our schools, giving people the skills they need, and restoring economic freedom in a major way. We do those things, you're going to see us come roaring back. I have seen it in the people of America. I've witnessed it as I've gone across the campaign trail. I was in San Diego and met with a guy named Alex Lukianov, Russian immigrant. Came over here, had some back problems, looked at how we do surgery, and had some ideas about how to come up with something better. He had this idea of, instead of operating by going into the middle of your backbone, he goes in from the side, and he puts in a little device to fuse the back vertebra. I'm getting complicated here, but the long story short is, he starts a business, trains doctors in how to provide this surgery, sells them the device that they put in their back. And by the way, now he has 1,300 employees working in that business and $900 million in revenues. And Mr. President, Mr. Lukianov and the other founders and the workers there built that business. Government did not build that business. I met a guy named Jim Leotode, and Jim didn't do real well in school. He graduated second from the bottom in his class in high school, and his dad said to him, either go into the military or to college. And college didn't look like it was the right place for him, and he wanted to do something different. And so he asked his dad if he could get a loan to start a business. He wanted to start a restaurant. He wanted to make hot dogs and hamburgers, I believe, and his dad gave him a loan. But when he got the money, he realized there's not enough money here to actually start a restaurant that has the cooking grills for hot dogs and hamburgers and the big hoods that vent the smoke and so forth. So all he could do with the money he had was to make sandwiches. So went into a garage, made sandwiches, and then delivered the sandwiches to people at work. Today, Jim Leotode, or you know him better as Jimmy John, has 1,200 restaurants and employs tens of thousands of people. And you see, I happen to believe that Jim Leotode, Jimmy John, built that business with the help of people around him, his friends, the people who work there in that enterprise. I do not give government credit for having built that. I give free people credit for having built that business. And so I see that entrepreneurial spirit and that innovativeness of the American people, and our willingness to work hard in whatever role we have, and to lift and to improve our lot and to improve the lot of the enterprises we work in. I see that as driving this economy to be the most powerful in the history of the earth. It has already, it will again. The course we're on right now is foreign to us. It changes America. This is a vote for what kind of America we're going to have. And for me, I vote for freedom and free people. And this, let me just end with this thought. This is an important choice. This is a defining choice. This is a choice about what America is going to be, not just for the next few years, but for a century. This is a choice which will determine what kind of future our kids are going to have. And in fact, it also determines what kind of future the world's going to have. America plays an unusual role in the world. I think we understand that. Some, in some circles, tend to brush that aside. But those that have fought in world wars and other conflicts recognize the greatness of America and our unique role in the history of the earth. We call them heroes. I want to express appreciation to heroes proved in liberating strife, who more than self their country loved, and mercy more than life. For our veterans, please raise their hands, and members of the active duty armed services. Thank you. I was in Great Britain some months ago and met with Tony Blair and then with David Cameron and with other leaders of the government there. And one said this to me. He said, you know, Mitt, if you're lucky enough to be elected President of the United States and you travel around from country to country into their capitals, you will undoubtedly have rehearsed for you all the things they think America is doing wrong. But please don't ever forget this. The one thing we all fear the most is a weak America. American strength in our values, strength in our homes, strength in our economy, strength in our military is essential to the world. It is the best ally for peace. And let me assure you that dividing America and attacking success and minimizing the achievement and accomplishment of entrepreneurs of all kinds, that does not make a stronger America. Believing in America means believing in those principles upon which this nation was founded, and I do. I will keep those principles aloft. We will fight for them. We will keep America the hope of the earth. Together we're going to bring back the strength that provides a bright future for us and for our children. Thank you so very much.
Don't survive.